What have the candidates said so far, then, on immigration?
Well, there's been a very big distinct difference between the approach to immigration from both Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss. First of all, Rishi Sunak produced a 10-point immigration plan, which was very comprehensive. It had some really interesting points for people like myself who've been monitoring immigration for a long time. He said he wanted to reform the broken immigration laws, which primarily meant reforming the ECHR, in particular Section 38. He wanted to give Parliament control over the numbers of refugees. He wanted to incentivise the Home Office staff, for example, to get through the asylum process much quicker, and, of course, support Rwanda and create a new government small boats policy, and 5 others to go with that. His advisors really looked at the issue, and that's something that we should welcome. But what I think is of deep concern is that each one of those 10 points lacked any real meat on the bones, and it gave me a flavour that they were simply stating things that they wanted people to hear without any real issues of how to solve it. Liz Truss, on the other hand, didn't produce any major plans. She simply said she will try and reform the ECHR in Britain's best interests. She wanted to have a support of the Rwanda plan and, of course, extend the numbers on border force. These are pretty weak, and I would say that if you were looking at the policy and thinking about it, Rishi Sunak has certainly provided more, but the determination, particularly in relation to ECHR, lands in Liz Truss's hands.
Is obviously, she's Foreign Secretary, isn't she? So she's in a position that she has to be slightly careful of what she's saying, doesn't she, at this moment? Doesn't she have to be sort of slightly careful because she can't really say too much with regard to her plans?
I think she's being very guarded. It might well because she is Foreign Secretary, and one of the key points that she's got to deal with is that when you look at the government departments, the Foreign Office and the Treasury are the 2 biggest departments that are opposing control of mass migration into the country. The Foreign Office, because they don't want to get into conflict with countries like France, where we do have clear laws called the Law of the Sea, or SOLAS, that enables us to turn back boats and put them back on French soil. But they won't do so because they don't want an international incident with the French. Similarly, the Treasury believe in this idea that the more people that you bring into Britain, let's just open the door, bring in mass numbers, it improves GDP. But there are plenty of economists out there say that this is damaging because the real figures you should be looking at is GNP. And so she does have to be careful, but that doesn't mean that she can't send the right signal.
What's GNP? Because GDP everyone's heard of.
Gross national product. So you have a different element of economics there. The one that says it's just for the wealth of the nation, and one is one that looks more personally towards individuals. And there are those who say that the more people you put in, it costs us more, and it really does have a detrimental effect, particularly those on lower wages, lower incomes, and now Middle England as well.
Briefly, the difference then between GDP and GNP, because you said gross domestic product. People listening would have heard of these terms, and they may understand what they are. But what is the difference? GDP, gross domestic product, gross national product, gross GDP.
Well, the gross domestic product is what they regard as the wealth of the nation. You know, it's just like saying that, I suppose, like the household incomes that you have. It increases the overall wealth of the nation. Where you look at GNP, it's much more directed towards looking at individuals, the person, as it says, gross national product, and looking at the GNP of the individuals is more about saying, is it more relevant to the individuals rather than the nation as a whole? And is there a different impact on people? And I think that's really where you're going to get this economic argument that more people does increase the wealth of the nation because they're saying it gets more people, but it doesn't have an impact on individuals as equally.